No warning, no crater, no clear explanation. What happened in Siberia that morning was so powerful, so sudden, that even today we are not entirely sure what really struck the Earth. On June 30th, 1908, in one of the most remote regions of the planet, the sky over the Siberian taiga suddenly ignited. Witnesses described a blinding light brighter than the sun, followed by a massive shock wave that flattened forests for hundreds of kilometers. Windows shattered in villages more than 60 kilometers away. People were thrown to the ground by an invisible force. And yet, when scientists later arrived, there was no impact crater. Nothing that should have been there was found. This event would become known as the Tunguska explosion. At the time, Siberia was a vast, sparsely populated wilderness. Endless forests of pine and larch stretched for thousands of kilometers. Small settlements existed along rivers, where hunters and farmers lived quiet, isolated lives. On that morning, everything seemed normal. The sky was clear. The air was calm. No one suspected that within seconds their world was about to change forever. Just after 7 in the morning, a massive fireball tore through the atmosphere at incredible speed. Estimates suggest it was traveling at more than 50,000 kilometers per hour. As it descended, it began to heat the surrounding air to extreme temperatures. The sky turned white. Shadows burned into the ground. Then came the explosion. The blast occurred several kilometers above the Earth's surface. The force released was estimated at 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, hundreds of times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. A shock wave radiated outward, flattening approximately 80 million trees across an area of more than 2,000 square kilometers. Entire sections of forest were knocked down in a pattern pointing away from the epicenter, like matchsticks thrown aside by an unseen hand. People hundreds of kilometers away felt the effects. In some towns, residents thought an earthquake had struck. Others believed the end of the world had arrived. The pressure wave circled the globe at least twice, detected by barometers as far away as Europe. That night, something even stranger happened. Across much of Europe and parts of Asia, the sky did not fully darken. People reported glowing nights, bright enough to read newspapers outdoors at midnight. Scientists later concluded that vast amounts of dust and particles had been injected into the upper atmosphere, reflecting sunlight around the planet. And yet, despite all this destruction, there were no confirmed human fatalities at the epicenter. The region was too remote. Nature, however, was not spared. When the first scientific expedition finally reached the site nearly 20 years later, what they found only deepened the mystery. There was no crater, no large fragments of a meteorite. Trees near the center stood upright but stripped of branches, like scorched poles. Surrounding them, the forest lay flattened in a radial pattern. So what caused it? The leading theory is that a stony asteroid or comet fragment entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded in midair, an airburst. Instead of striking the ground, it disintegrated due to immense pressure and heat, releasing its energy all at once. This would explain the lack of a crater and the enormous area of destruction. But this explanation raises more questions. Why were no large fragments found? Why do some measurements suggest unusual chemical signatures in the soil? Why did eyewitnesses describe multiple explosions? Over the decades, alternative theories have emerged, ranging from a comet made of ice to natural gas explosions, to even more speculative ideas involving unknown physical phenomena. Despite more than a century of research, Tunguska remains one of the most enigmatic natural disasters in recorded history. What makes the event even more unsettling is what it implies for the future. Objects capable of causing Tunguska-level destruction pass close to Earth more often than most people realize. An airburst over a modern city could devastate millions of lives without ever leaving a crater. Tunguska was a warning, one that occurred in the safest possible place, a remote wilderness. Had it happened 4 hours later over a populated region, the outcome would have been catastrophic. Today, the Siberian forest has regrown. From above, the scars are fading. But the story remains, a reminder that our planet exists in a dynamic, unpredictable cosmic environment. Something entered our atmosphere that morning. Something released unimaginable energy, and it left behind more questions than answers. This was not an accident of history. It was a glimpse of how fragile our world really is.